I want to first start off by talking about the Buccaneers and the Saints. So this past week, during the 2020 NFL season in week number 9, the New Orleans Saints absolutely curb stomped, destroyed, and mollywopped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-3. And before I get to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, I want to give huge props to the New Orleans Saints. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been saying, I'm kind of not all in on the Saints this year. The Saints, they've kind of been inconsistent at times this year. I don't think Drew Brees is quite the same guy. You know, the defense is kind of struggling. They haven't quite put it all together. I'm officially off that bandwagon. I think the Saints are a legitimate football team. It looks like they're finally starting to put things together. Michael Thomas seems to be finally healthy. And I think this team is ready to rock and roll. This is a team that easily can win the Super Bowl. I always kind of said that the New Orleans Saints had the talent to win the Super Bowl. I just didn't want to put them in that category as Super Bowl contenders just because, I had some questions about their team. You guys can go back and watch my previous episodes, but gotta give the Saints a ton of credit. They might be the most talented team in all of football outside of Kansas City and maybe Pittsburgh. They're really, really good. Gotta give Drew Brees a whole lot of props. Drew Brees in that game versus Tampa Bay, he shredded their defense. The Saints offensive line gave him a ton of time to throw the football and do his thing. He had 4 touchdowns and completed 81% of his passes. And this season in 2020, Drew Brees is still playing at a very high level. I kind of threw out that Drew Brees might no longer be a top 10 quarterback, a couple of weeks ago. Well, as I speak today, Drew Brees, he's playing like a top 10 quarterback. No doubt about it. He's been efficient. He's been accurate. He was throwing the football down the field versus Tampa Bay, and that's a very good defense. Tampa Bay has one of the top 5 defenses in the entire NFL. Drew Brees destroyed them. So the Saints, they're in good shape. They're a very talented team. They're a team that very well could go on to win the Super Bowl, no doubt about it, especially if they get home field advantage, okay? Now, let me focus on Tom Brady, because Tom Brady, he was bad. He was complete garbage versus New Orleans. And I hate to say it, and I've been bigging up Tom Brady a little bit this year. I kind of said that Tom Brady's in the MVP conversation for a while. He was in the MVP conversation. He still might be to a certain degree, but he looked like a shot fighter. And ultimately, people, I came away from that Buccaneers game thinking that Tom Brady might officially be the weak link to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. And that's not a bad thing, because anytime Tom Brady is the weak link on your roster, you're a really good football team. But I'm sorry, people, that game was not great for Tom Brady. It just wasn't. And listen, every single NFL quarterback eventually gets old. Father time eventually kicks in for every quarterback. And I'm not saying Tom Brady is completely washed, but he looked like it versus the Saints, and Father Time very well could be approaching Tom Brady. Tom Brady just looked very, very bad. I understand the offensive line was not very good, but listen, I'm not here for the excuses. Tom Brady, that offensive line is giving you more than enough time to throw all season. You got very good weapons on the outside of wide receiver. You got Chris Godwin. You got Mike Evans. You got, Rob Gronkowski, who you brought in. You also brought in Antonio Brown. A lot of people want to give Tom Brady the excuse that, he was trying to incorporate Antonio Brown. Well, Tom Brady is the one that wanted to bring in Antonio Brown to Tampa Bay. Do you really think Bruce Arians truly wanted to bring in Antonio Brown to the football team? In fact, a couple of weeks ago, Bruce Arians said, we're not interested in Antonio Brown. The reason Antonio Brown is on the team is because Tom Brady said, I want that guy on the roster. Bring him aboard. And the Buccaneers cooperated, and they said, man, Tom Brady, maybe we do need Antonio Brown. Maybe, if you want him, hey, we'll go out and get him. That's your guy, Tom Brady. So I don't want to hear that you have bad chemistry with Antonio Brown or you're working things out here and there. No, Tom Brady, go out there and get it done. And listen, Tom Brady just wasn't very good. He threw 3 interceptions versus the New Orleans Saints. He just wasn't all that great. And what I saw from Tom Brady was a quarterback that at this stage in his career is just flat out not that dynamic. Tom Brady's never been the most dynamic quarterback, never been the greatest athlete, but he's well past his prime. I think that everyone acknowledges that. And he looked like a 43-year-old quarterback. He really did. He looked overwhelmed due to pressure. His arm looked very average to me. He wasn't able to fit the ball in the tight windows. You know, the Saints, they blitzed Tom Brady, and they asked him to make very good high-level throws, and Tom Brady just could not make those throws. He couldn't move. He couldn't escape the pressure, and Tom Brady just looked overwhelmed, man. And the sad thing for Buccaneers fans is, listen, you're going to probably have to go through the Saints once again. And I understand the Buccaneers are a very good team. They'll win a lot more games. You know, this is not the end of the world for the Buccaneers. They're going to be in the playoffs. But listen, we saw last year, Green Bay, for whatever reason, they just could not match up with the 49ers. You know, it seems like the Baltimore Ravens, they just, for whatever reason, cannot beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And it seems like this year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they just can't seem to figure out the New Orleans Saints. And that game was at home. In the playoffs, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to have to go on the road more than likely to play Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. And it's a whole different ball game playing in New Orleans, you know, in the postseason as compared to playing in your home stadium, okay? And I really think, listen, we can all acknowledge that Bill Belichick right now in New England is struggling. Context definitely does matter. You know, there were a ton of players that opt out before the season started. The Patriots, to me, are just not a talented football team. And Cam Newton, at times, he's been hit and miss. But listen, people, whether you want to say Bill Belichick's a product of Tom Brady or not as of right now, I still think Bill Belichick arguably is more responsible for the Patriots dynasty. I'm sorry if that ticks off Patriots fans, but that's just my opinion. As of right now, I still think Bill Belichick is more responsible for the Patriots dynasty because, let's be real, think about it, people. Coaching matters. If Deshaun Watson had Andy Reid right now coaching him and Patrick Mahomes had Bill O'Brien coaching him, who do you think has a better chance to win the Super Bowl? I'm sorry, people. As good as Patrick Mahomes is, I'm taking Deshaun Watson with Andy Reid because coaching matters. And it's not like Deshaun Watson is this awful quarterback. He's a top 5 to top 10 quarterback in the game of football right now. So I really think that if Tom Brady struggles at times in the playoffs this year, we are really going to realize how valuable Bill Belichick was to Tom Brady because we saw in the Super Bowl versus the Los Angeles Rams a couple of years ago when Tom Brady and the offense, they struggled to score points. They only put up 13 points on the board. Bill Belichick, he was coaching up that defense, and that defense, they held Jared Goff and the #1 rated offense in the Los Angeles Rams to 3 points. How many times have we seen the New England Patriots defense bail Tom Brady out when he's been struggling? I don't think Bruce Arians is the type of coach that can bail Tom Brady out. In fact, I think Tom Brady has elevated Bruce Arians, you know, to a certain degree this year. You know, I think that right now, as we speak today, I think the Buccaneers are a better football team, not because of their coaching, but because Tom Brady has established a great culture in Tampa Bay, and he's helped out that locker room. He's helped those guys become more disciplined. He's been an accurate distributor of the football. He has not turned the football over as much as Jameis Winston did a year ago when Jameis Winston went 30 for 30, throwing 30 touchdowns to 30 interceptions. I have a strong belief that if Tampa Bay doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, if they don't win Super Bowl 55, it's going to be because Tom Brady is not going to be able to overcome, you know, playing on the road potentially, overcoming a pass rush that's coming at him 24/7. And if Tom Brady cannot play particularly well, I don't trust this Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching staff to bail Tom Brady out. So listen, can Tampa Bay still win the Super Bowl? Absolutely. They're talented enough to do so. Can they beat Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints on the road? It's going to be tough, but I think that Tom Brady can get it done if things bounce his way. But in reality, as of right now, it looks like Tom Brady's a shot fighter. It really does look like that. You know, I'm not going to overreact to one game, but I really truly believe that as of right now, Tom Brady is the weak link to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. You know, he's the guy that I look at and say, can Tom Brady make those throws? Can he still take those hits? Can he still fit the ball in the tight windows? Can he actually avoid a sack? I'm not so sure. And that ultimately might be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers undoing in the playoffs. And listen, you can make the argument that Drew Brees is the weak link to the New Orleans Saints roster because like I mentioned earlier, the Saints, they've got A+ to B+ level players all over that roster. And Drew Brees is not the same quarterback that he once was. So listen, anytime Drew Brees and Tom Brady are the weak links to your football team, you're a darn good football team, and you very well could win the Super Bowl. Heck, a couple years ago, I looked at Nick Foles and I said, man, this Eagles roster is very good, but can Nick Foles come through for the Philadelphia Eagles to win them a Super Bowl? And Nick Foles did that. So it's all going to come down to if Tom Brady or Drew Brees can make the big boy throws when it matters most. We're definitely probably going to see who's going to, be that guy, because I have a firm belief that the Saints and the Buccaneers are going to meet once again in the playoffs, and Tampa Bay, they're going to have to make adjustments. And ultimately, we are truly going to see how much of a weak link Tom Brady is to this Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster as we speak today in 2020. Can Tom Brady make the throws to win the Buccaneers a Super Bowl? I believe he can, but only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.